rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz nuts, start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Spinning in the breeze, stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning whiz and coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my God. Shizzy breaks Larry. Shizzy broke Larry.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see every single one of you this morning. I hope you're doing well. Nancy, this is the funniest thing. Okay, ladies, I have a very good laugh for you this morning. Now, make sure you're not drinking any coffee. I wouldn't want you to spit it out. Nancy continues on. Went yesterday for pre-surgical testing. They wanted to give you a pregnancy test. I'm almost 64. Now, what would have even been funnier is that, Nancy, is if you were a man and they would have asked to give you the test. But that is messed up. Man, what is wrong with these people? I hope you're doing well. Hope everything went fine for you. Oh, my gosh. Good to see everybody this morning. Crazy stuff going on the YouTubes this morning. Man, oh, man. Good morning, Denise. Yes. Get that refill. Get that coffee. Get that coffee flowing this morning if you can. It has been a very, very interesting morning. You know, I pull up the news, and of course, this is one of the first things I see this morning. Oh my gosh. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is taking charge of the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID. Now, this is an organization that's long overseen humanitarian development aid worldwide. Now, before the USAID, it was different. It had different names, but USAID was formed by an executive order by JFK. I believe it was in 1961. Okay. And so in 1961, by executive order, that act that was passed by Congress, he created an agency to basically help spread aid throughout the known civilized world or uncivilized world, third world countries, to help them out, to help build those countries, to help spread humanitarian aid and all this kind of stuff. Now, back in 96, 98, somewhere around in there, whenever Bill Clinton was president, Congress decided to make this a permanent fixture. Okay, so making it a permanent fixture, and I can't remember the name of the act that they created to do that, but they decided to make USAID a permanent fixture. Now, Bill Clinton could have come in and said, no, this is going to operate under my behest. any sort of resolution that he wanted to pass. He could have basically denied it, which he didn't deny it, allowed them to continue on, and became part of something that Congress controls the funding for. So you have to keep that in mind. Now, there are parts of this, and there's oh, that's funny. Uh yeah, that's always fun. So that part of USAID became a little bit more. Um, Now there's this part of it that's called PEPFAR, okay, and it's a U.S. funded program that's supposed to be helping um, with taking care of like critical parts of USAID. Things like trauma surgery, making sure that there's humanitarian aid going to to people in war-torn countries. Now, that's the part that Trump did not eliminate, but he stopped it where now they have they have to basically get a waiver to show that that is exactly where that money is going to be going for this particular portion of it. And I think up to now there may be more, but up to now there's only one part of that has met the requirements for the waiver. And it's very specific of what that stuff goes. So keep that in mind as you listen to these stories, because it's going to be pretty interesting today. But I had a discussion with my wife about this, and boy, she just about lost. Being liberal, she can't help it. She got, oh, I mean, how dare they cut it off? Well, and one of the reasons is we have I would say my brother-in-law is works in the foreign service, and he's part of his funding goes for this. And he's basically been furloughed into not being able to basically do anything. They've stopped everything. They said, all right, we need to stop. We need to assess everything that's going on and see where this money is going. We need to get rid of the wasteful spending. That's been the problem. There's so much wasteful spending going on. This is one of the largest humanitarian aids, which the money is still there. The money hasn't gone anywhere, but they stopped funding things that were not critical, which means if there's not life-saving surgeries that need to be happening, then they've stopped that. Now, you would have to apply for the waiver, which allows you to have that money. If you don't apply for it, well, then that is on you. So that is pretty interesting. Oh my gosh. So is this is this Lilu? Elu? Bruce has a nice funny take on about me in his own name, not Anna. Gave you a good chuckle. It should give you a good chuckle. It should give you a good chuckle. See that I ignore him because he's about as useful as a he's about as useful as a pregnancy test on a 65-year-old woman. Just saying. Just, oh, sorry. Oh, we need to do this in the UK as well. Yes, exactly, Andrew. And it's to basically root out the corruption that's happening within this government agency that spends not millions but billions of dollars a year, you know, providing humanitarian aid on, and part of their core thing, and they've got a big, huge, gigantic write up on this USAID of all of the great stuff that they do. Well, and that's also to take into consideration the UN does a lot of great stuff. You've heard of UNICEF and things like this. These are humanitarian aid organizations, but it doesn't mean that they're without fault. Doesn't mean that they're without fault and that they don't have problems. Son, that's about as useful as a poopy flavored lollipop. Oh my gosh. So what it continues on here. the issue is, as I said, yeah, there are things that the USAID that we can do through USAID that we should continue to do and continue to do, but everything they do has to be in alignment with national interests in the foreign policy of the United States, Rubio said. Now, the attitude that USAID has adopted over the years is no, we're independent of the international interests. We fund programs irrespective of whether it's aligned or not aligned with foreign policy. And well, that is ridiculous. Democrats and former diplomats are sounding the alarm over efforts to rein in USAID, claiming the agency delivers life saving aid and bolsters America's global standing. However, the Trump administration notes that USAID has operated with little oversight for far too long, and that the aid often goes against U.S. interests. And this is not a lie. Now, you have to remember these are taxpayer dollars, Rubio continued. Every penny that we spend in foreign aid needs to be in furtherance and aligned with the national interest and foreign policy of the United States. So, this is not about ending the program that USAID does per se. There are things that it does that are good, and there are things that it does that we have strong questions about. It's about the way it operates as an entity. And they're supposed to take direction from the State Department policy direction, and they do not. Not only do they not take policy direction, they're completely uncooperative, he added. When you ask questions, when you try to go in and find out, okay, what does this program do? Who's getting the money? Why was this funded? Why are they doing this? Why aren't you coordinating with the embassy or the State Department? Their attitudes, we don't have to answer to you because we are independent. We answer to no one. And well, that's not true. The Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, late last week said any effort to dissolve USAID would be illegal and against our national interests. President Trump told reporters on Sunday that USAID had been run by political, radical lunatics and were getting them out. And then we'll make that decision. The president previously signed an executive order freezing foreign assistance. USAID's website has recently gone offline, and hundreds of contractors, now, whenever they talk about contractors, each one of these folks that is over there serving for USAID on the behest of them, they're signed up under a 1-year contract that's renewable. So every year they have to renew that contract. That's why they're calling them contractors. It's a 1-year contract that can be revoked at every year. Now, like I said, brother-in-law that's over there, he's been over there for I want to say at least 8-9 years now. He's renewed every single time. Not saying that his work is invaluable or anything like that, but you have to remember there's no oversight into where the money is going. So without that oversight, not saying that every single one of them has issues, not saying that he'll even be removed from wherever he's posted at. It just brings into question, where's the money going? He's rich, isn't he? No. Brother-in-law is not rich. The brother-in-law is definitely not rich, but because all of his payroll, they take care of housing, they take care of pretty much everything. He's been able to save up quite a bit of money. So whenever he comes back to the United States, he's able to get himself a house, get himself him and his wife and 2 lovely children. They'll be able to, keep going and doing what they want to. Now, he applied for foreign service. I want to say it was about 13, 14 years ago. He signed up to work for the Foreign Service. He's been in multiple countries working for the Foreign Service, working in the embassy, sometimes just taking stuff in, shuffling paperwork. Now he's more in a senior position in another country, which I'm not going to talk about. But he married a foreign national in that country. So he's on furlough right now, and at some point in time, and like I told my wife, I said I wouldn't worry about it too much because at some point in time that he'll get all that back pay if they deem that his job is actually necessary. Hey, howdy. Welcome. Good to see you. All right. So continuing on with that, we have this is Kevin Downey Jr. He says, what's KDJ's Clown of the Week award goes to what a difference an election can make. I wonder if I resize this. The size of this is really much different. What a difference election can make. I spent the last 4 years waiting for the FBI to kick down my door and ship me off to be used as prison currency. These days, I wake up smiling, check my phone to see what Trump has done, laugh, and then go to Facebook and lap up the inevitable TDS. So-called adults screeching like harpies caught in a bobcat trap. You can almost hear them spit screaming on their keyboards and phones as the silicone chips inside their heads get switched to overload. It's like an old school Jerry Springer Donnybrook, but without the trailer park nudity. Well, we've seen how people act on Facebook lately. Oh boy, let's take up our case on Facebook. Let's take up our case on social media. Oh, aren't you so smart? As I was taking some of the liberal jack puddings, gloriously blowing their tops, flipping their lids, and creaming their corn, much of it nothing more than hysterical flapdoodle, my friend and fellow PJer Chris Queen suggested I come up with KDJ's Clown of the Week contest. Finally, I have direction in life. Let's meet this week's clown candidates. Clown number 1, Michael Singularly. Okay, if you haven't heard, Singularly, neither have I, as it appears to be about as famous as Frank Stallone album. Singularly wrote an op-ed entitled Trump is sentencing 26 million people to death and counting, which is as hilarious as it sounds. He's referring to how Trump paused almost all federal government funding for 90 days in an effort to sniff out corruption, which includes PEPFAR, a U.S.-funded program that is credited with saving 26 million lives over 20 years from HIV, AIDS. PEPFAR wasn't mentioned specifically by Trump, but those with stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome facts are pointless. Like a good little boy, Sigori eagerly beclowns himself by hitting every 2016 era Trump is the devil talking point and adds a few more, such as greatest hits as, let's be clear, for Trump, this is eugenics, killing off non-white people in this shithole countries who he surely believes we shouldn't be spending money on. Trump is a racist and believes people are deliberating illnesses should just die, and vomitous and yet hilarious attack on Trump would be complete without screeching about that phantom boogeyman, Project 2025. Oh, yes, Project 2025. Add to Trump's racism and obsession with eugenics the fact that the people in places in his administration for Project 2025 just want to cut all foreign funding of any kind of their dangerous American first zeal and want to slash funding to America's social safety net as well. Well, just as you think he can't humiliate himself even more, he closes his program with this gem, and Trump himself, too blinded by his racist rage and his cruel desires to let people just die to see any of that. Well, Factorama, PEPFAR is fully funded through March of 2025. Suggesting a brief stoppage of funding will kill 26 million people is lunacy at its purest form. But when you support the party that wants to abort children 2 minutes before birth and cut off genitals for those who survive until the age of 15, honesty will never be your friend. So it is true that he stopped the funding. And yes, the funding is still there. Like I said, they can apply for a waiver, which they haven't done. There's only one group that has actually applied for the waiver. The other ones want to know, well, what do they need to apply for the waiver? Here's the thing. Instead of worrying about that, why don't you just state your case of why you need that funding? That would be all that would be needed, wouldn't it? I would think. And then they can decide whether they want to fund you or not, or send you those funds or not. Really easy. State your case, then the waiver gets approved. But oh, no. We need to know exactly the wording so we can get this passed through. It reminds me of some of these people I talked to on the phone. They're wondering, well, what information do I need to have on there? Do you see the little sheet of paper there that explains everything about it? Don't lie. State your case of why you want to acquire this, and then we move on from there. Well, how can I get it though? Fill out the paperwork. Once you fill out the paperwork, you turn it in. We review it, make sure that it's complete. If it's not complete, we send you an email and tell you to complete the damn thing or what part of it's missing. And then you send that back to us. Yeah, but no, what I want to know is what exactly is it that I can say that will get me this property? Nothing. Be truthful, be honest, say what you want to get the property for. No, you don't understand. What I want to know is I want this property so bad that I will lie and make up shit. You just need to tell me what shit I need to lie and make up. That's what they don't get. Is people are so interested in getting these funds because these funds are not small amounts. We're talking in the millions of dollars that they want to get so they can just willy-nilly spend it wherever they want to. State your case, what it's going to be used for. And that's where the oversight kicks in, because then whenever you say, listen, we've got this hospital that we're building, we need $10 million to finish the completion of this. We need another 20 million on putting hospital beds in it. We need another 30 million to basically have people out in the field. Whatever it might be, then they can come back and they can say, okay, you said you needed 10 million to build this hospital. Don't come back to us and say you need 5 million more, 6 million more. That you told us how much you needed. You told us how much you needed to have this hospital built. Now, how many people are in those beds? Do you have people? Are you actually helping them out? Or did you take that money and you just spend it on a EKG machine that never got delivered to you? So without that sort of oversight, there's a big problem there. This is where it becomes, like if you're applying for a grant, that money has to be spent on what you apply the money for a grant. You can't just go, well, we're going to get a new coffee maker in the break room. That's not how it works. Jasmine Crockett is number 3. Who was number 2? Oh, number 2, the Federal Aviation Administration. Here we go. Like FEMA and every other federal institution, the cultural Marxism known as woke has insidiously found its way into the FAA. Now that divers are combing the bottom of the Potomac River for crash victims and fingers are pointing in every direction, our own Matt Margolis has boasted about the FAA's commitments to communism. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. They include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism. If the AFAA hadn't dedicated its time to hiring paralyzed little people who can't count to 10, would our airspace be safer now and going forward? You decide. Clown number 3, Jasmine Crockett. When you accept that some people are bulletproof from feeling shame, it's easy to see how Representative Jasmine Crockett, Texas, can say whatever she wants, even if what she says is a lie. Now, Crockett used the plane crash in Washington, D.C. to do the only thing communist states can do these days, blame Trump. This time for putting a hiring freeze on many, but not all federal jobs. Twitter's community notes were quick to clown slap Crockett, who suggested that hiring freeze was responsible for the crash in Washington, D.C. As it turns out, air traffic controllers were not part of that freeze. Weird how that works, huh? So Crockett is used to shame. Oh, well, here, Factorama. It's also stupid to assume that air traffic controllers hired on Trump's first day in office would somehow have been sufficiently trained to be on the job at the time of the crash. There you go. Crockett is used to shaming herself without even knowing it, and whether or not she wins today, I suspect she'll be a regular contestant in this new contest today. Idiocy. Clown 4, Bernie Sanders. Like Crockett, the multi-home owning Senator Sanders doesn't shun shame. He embraces it like his Nikita Khrushchev. teddy bear he purchased at the Pitt City prison gift shop. While questioning RFK Jr. about his stance on vaccines, Bernie obstinately bent his knee to Big Pharma, lost his religion, and went all shrilly-nilly over anti-vax onesies being sold for $26. For $26 by a company RFK Jr. is no longer associated with. I'm not sure which is cringier, Bernie kissing the ring of pharmaceutical giants to throw him mad stacks, or his hysteria over onesies selling for $26. Either way, I haven't seen such ass kissery since Hillary pretended that she keeps hot sauce in her purse while speaking to brown people. Yeah, she did that. While we're at it, Factorama, my 100% Puerto Rican fiance Jessica hates being called brown almost as much as she abhors people who refer to her as Latinx. And you might want to stop putting that cartoonish Spanish accent when you say the word Latino. You probably don't apply a Chinese accent or a lucky #1 dragon restaurant and ask for dumplings now. When you ask for dumplings now, do you? You don't do it. So why do people say Latino? Why don't you say dumplings? Because it's fucking horrible. I've decided to let Jessica, my brown Latinx gondolas, choose the sorry, Mama Mita, first clown of the week winner, and she has chosen Bernie Sanders because he is the most ridiculous one of the bunch. However, she adds that it was a hard-fought race, and there are no losers in this competition, so participation trophies for all. Check back next week. I'm sure the clown show will not be a disappointment. It never will. Thank you very much, Kevin Downey Jr. He's a comedian, a columnist, a radio show host. When he isn't writing or performing, he is collecting surf records and practicing his mixologist skills at his tiki bar, his apartment, the Atomic Bunker. Looks like it was furnished from George Jetson's garage sale. You can hear KDJ crush the commies and punish the I'm not saying that on the Kevin Downey Jr. show every Monday through Friday, 10 to 11 a.m. at livenewsradio.com. Yeah, don't call me Latinx. Yeah, Latina. No, they wouldn't call you Latina X. They would call you Latinx or Latinx. Latinx. I don't know. It's a made up word that only white American women are using. Amazing, huh? That's who came up with it. White American women, because they wanted to be all inclusive of those that have chopped off their body parts or added new ones to their bodies. I definitely swap all of this swap all the L's and R's when you order your #1. But why are you doing that in a Mexican restaurant? I don't understand. I had the #1, Speedy Gonzala. Oh man, this crew I worked with, that was one of their favorite things. We go to the Mexican restaurant, and they would order the Speedy Gonzalez. I was like, wait, call it Speedy Gonzalez. Let's go Speedy, right through you. Oh yeah, I love the crew that I worked with. They were so much fun. Interesting story. One of them was a rancher in Mexico. He had his wife, his mistress, and his girlfriend all living on the same ranch. Talk about interesting. And his wife it was his ex-wife, his wife, his mistress, and his girlfriend. It was 4 women, because his ex-wife was mother of his 2 oldest children. His new wife was the mother of another one of his children, and his mistress was another mother of another one of his youngest children. And his girlfriend was just there because, he liked to get a little nasty at times. Mormon Mexican? No. He wasn't Mormon Mexican. Funny story. One day he shows up to work and he's exhausted. He's just like, oh, I'm so tired. I was like, what's going on? He goes, come to find out, he hired a a lady of the night to entertain him that evening, the evening before, and he kept wearing it out like every every chance he got. He goes, no money. I was like, why do you gotta have any money? He goes, he explains, the lady of the night, and he's having a little bit of fun. And he was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just like, geez, man. No money left over after spending it all on prostitutes. Oh, interesting guy. He was so much fun. But we do have this. Guess what? The border crossings are down 93%. White House border czar Tom Homan told Fox News on Sunday that illegal border crossings are down 93% since Donald Trump won his belated re-election in November. Speaking with Maria, I can never say her last name, Bartiromo, Homan also promised, when we find that criminal, he's most likely with others and they're going to go too. So if you want to be a sanctuary city, you're going to exactly what you don't want: more agents in the community and more non-criminals arrested. Now, we got more work to do, Homan concluded, and what a welcome change that is from our last 4 years. As a candidate, Joe Biden sent the message loud and clear that America would be open for anything, just sort of like his son Hunter. Really? For illegal aliens? Need a job? Want to sell drugs? Cartel? Gang member? Terrorist? No problemo. The surge of illegals began virtually the moment Biden was declared winner. No lies detected there. And for 4 years of record-bursting waves of illegal, Biden and his chief enabler at DHS, Alejandro Mayorkas, swore up and down that the border was secure. So here's Homan, only in office at DHS for a couple of weeks, overseeing a 93% decline and admitting we got more work to do. The rapid decrease began before Trump was sworn in, before another foot of border wall was erected, and before a single soldier was ordered to the border. So what changed? The incentives. Trump's simple promise to begin mass deportations was probably enough, but Homan's strong language going back to before Trump even appointed him underscored Trump's point with firm authority. Now we have the DOGE boys stopping the flow of taxpayer dollars to the NGOs that worked so hard under Biden cabal to incentivize illegal crossings and, frankly, widespread settlement with negative incentives for assimilation. Thank you. Reread that last sentence. Even though it's awkward and a little too long, sorry, we can't all be winners, overwhelming and breaking down our assimilation mechanisms was part and parcel of the ongoing fundamental transformation that Barack Obama delivered from 2009 to 2016. And that he continued from 2021 to 2024 with Biden as his drooling puppet. Americans excel at many things, and making Americans out of foreigners is one of the things we do best, but not when we're overwhelmed, not when we have our own government and NGOs paying foreigners to not become Americans. You want more good news? Well, also up are the self-deportations, because illegals know that they get one free deportation, a mere misdemeanor that comes with a bus or a plane ticket home. But the second illegal crossing is a felony that can come with prison time. Many people are smart enough not to want to risk that, so they're returning south. And then there's this guy. He needs to be found and made an example of. Right here.
I'm back, bitches. It only took 2 fucking days or one, couple hours, you guys, and I'm back in the U.S. See, I told you guys this immigration shit wasn't gonna stop nothing, you guys. Nothing. It's not gonna do shit. We're all gonna come back. Nothing's gonna happen. I'm just waiting for my ride now, but you guys, I'm back. I'm back. And I don't give a fuck what y'all think. If y'all wanna hate me, but shit. I'm back in the U.S. I can smell the chicken nuggets, the hamburgers. I just gotta watch out for ice around this parking lot because those motherfuckers be hiding. But we back in the motherfucking States, you guys. Y'all better not fucking report my fucking account, you motherfuckers, because then ICE will find me. But yeah, I'm out here chilling, you guys. I'm here waiting for a motherfucking ride.
Yeah. Nice, huh? Find the biggest book that law allows, throw it at him. Incentives matter. Stopping the domestic flow of taxpayer dollars to illegal has gone a long way. 93%. Towards reestablishing our southern border. Convicting a social media confessed felon of a felony and dishing out the maximum sentence will do more, particularly if it's done with maximum publicity. Good morning. All the more reason to report him. Absolutely. Well, and it goes back to what I said last night. There's somebody that self-reported on themselves. If you checked out last night's stream, you would have saw what I was talking about. Yeah, they self-reported that they blatantly violated a court-ordered subpoena. Yeah, amazing. And they're going to find out very soon how much judges don't like you holding their court in contempt, which will be very fun to see. Just watching them flail around, it'll be it's going to be an interesting week. Let's put it that way. It's going to be a very interesting week to watch them over all of this. It's going to be a very interesting week. We've seen people do some really crazy stuff this week, and it doesn't change. It doesn't change. Oh my. Good morning, Volstorm. Good to see you. Oh, like a fish out of water. Yeah. Yep. It's gonna be crazy. Smell the fun. So we were just talking about Obama and his administration and puppet administration, but his fundamental transformation is blowing up. Now, we're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America. Democrat presidential nominee Barack Obama promised on the campaign trail in 2008. Up until that moment, Obama had carefully couched his red diaper radicalism in the language of moderation, of healing, of one America. It's impossible to say for sure whether Obama accidentally let slip the real foundation of his candidacy or if he was feeling so cocky that close to Election Day that he felt he could get away with anything. But I've always felt it was the latter. Trump was obviously kidding when he claimed in 2016 that he could shoot somebody and wouldn't lose voters. Obama wasn't kidding at all about wanting to fundamentally transform America. Conservatives and most Republicans shouted, "Danger, Will Robinson, danger," when Obama finally said it out loud. Even the press belatedly, in only one small instance, kind of sort of noticed. Here's a transcript cut from the conversation PBS host Charlie Rose had with NBC anchor Tom Brokaw one day after Obama's fundamental transformation line. Rose: "I don't know what Barack Obama's worldview is." Brokaw: "No, I don't either." Rose: "I don't know how he really sees where China is." Brokaw: "We don't know a lot about Barack Obama and the universe of his thinking about foreign policy." Rose: "I don't really know. And do we know anything about the people who are advising him?" Brokaw: "Yeah, it's an interesting question." Rose: "It's principally known through his autobiography and through his very aspirational speeches." Brokaw: "2 of them. I don't know what books he's read." Rose: "What do we know about the heroes of Barack Obama?" Brokaw: "There's a lot about him we don't know." That was as close the press ever got to doing due diligence on the most radical man ever to win the White House. Not just too little, but also too late. Obama's election had been a 99% certainty for weeks. Obama's wide-eyed acolytes lapped it up. They were enraptured by the promise of fundamental transformation. Give Obama this small bit of reluctant credit. He was the moderate radical, willing to play a long game of incremental political changes found upon his less moderate social radicalism. At the end of Obama's tenure, the Catholic Register's Paul Krager explained fundamental transformation, however, has not happened in areas where it might have hoped or feared in 2008. It has not been a fundamental shift in the attitudes of the vast majority regarding the role of government, taxation, regulations, economics, education, or even healthcare, where Obama had a signature legislative achievement. It hasn't happened in foreign policy. Though Obama has made serious detrimental impact in regions from Eastern Europe to the Middle East. The reality is that the true fundamental transformation has been the realm of culture, Krenger wrote, notably in matters of sexual orientation, marriage, family. The shift there has been unprecedented, far beyond anyone's imagination 8 years ago. Marxists and other collectivists always work to destroy the family, the bulwark of resistance against the state. What better way to accomplish that goal than by undefining what a man and a woman are, to encourage women to do the same, children to do the same? On the political side, Obama's transformations were less legislative. He never cared for the dirty work of politicking on Capitol Hill, even when Democrats were in charge. Then they were procedural. Obama's weaponization of the formally nonpartisan bureaucracy against the right may have begun at the IRS, but it hardly ended there. He used State Department, the UN, to bypass the Senate's authority to ratify treaties and Congress's power to authorize the use of force. Then there are the multi-billion-dollar slush funds at USAID and other agencies whose corruption we've long suspected and are only now learning the true scale of. Underappreciated in this is the influence of former Obama and hand Samantha Power, who was also President Bush Biden's pick to head up USAID these last 4 years, considered too radical to lead state where Obama wanted her. Power has moved from one powerful but often secretive executive branch position to another. With the election of Trump 2.0, the DGAF edition, all the work is being undone. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Hillary Clinton was supposed to cement Obama's revolution in place, the emerging permanent Democrat majority, with a continued 8 years of progressive rule. Instead, that interloper Donald Trump won and upset the whole damn plan. Now, professional revolutionaries don't give up so easily, and Trump's first term was undercut by burrowed deep state progressive rhinos, lots of those, and Trump's ignorance about how Washington actually works. Then came the irregular, to put it all too mildly, 2020 election and the installation of an Obama puppet in the Oval Office. Trans radicalism and other social issues, along with the epic malmanagement of the economy, led to Trump's victory. But unlike Trump 1.0, this new version understands how Obama fundamentally transformed Washington works, and he's working really hard to undo the damage. Here's the lesson Obama never learned about America. He could corrupt our institutions, introduce trendy social nonsense, but he couldn't corrupt our vision of ourselves as fundamentally fair and decent people. It seems strange, impossible even that the fairness and decency counter-revolution is spearheaded by a fundamentally outrageous TV host and real estate developer, but it's a big assist from the world's richest man who wants to die on Mars. Yet here we are. What a country. Still. Thank you, Steve. He also has the Vodka Pundit, a well-planned whim in 2002, and has been at PJ Media since its launch in 2005. He's also a pioneer in internet broadcasting. He co-hosts Right Angle with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott at BillWhittle.com. He lives with his wife and sons in Wooded Hills in Monument, Colorado, where he enjoys the occasional adult beverage. Good morning, Ambos girl. Good to see you. And all you fine 128, 29, 30 people there. Good to see you. Well, it's time for a little cruiser. Stephen Cruiser. I think it's Cruiser, but I could be wrong. Somebody will correct me one of these days. I get names wrong all the time. But we have his morning briefing. Morning briefing, dude, where's my bureaucracy? Top of the briefing. Happy Tuesday, Cruiser morning briefing friends. The gentleman making balloon animals preferred not to be asked about his days as a competitive accordionist. We're only a couple weeks into Trump's 47's administration, and once again, the amount of work that's being done is amazing. 2 weeks in, he's already managed to cut down on the amount of illegals crossing the border. He's managed to slow things down that was being spent willy-nilly. He's trying to get a grasp of how deep the deep state really goes. And he's got people in place to really weed that out. President Trump and his administration are on a mission to deliver on everything that was promised during the campaign. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, Project 2025. Now, that's the problem is Trump. If you look at what he laid out, what his plans were for the United States, some of those might have been part of Project 2025, but Project 2025 is like this, over 1,000 pages of dribble. If you ever get a chance to read it, you'll probably fall asleep. It is easy to fall asleep reading it because it's mainly like very politicized. Trump wasn't following it, but some of those do align with what he's saying. Still waiting on Project 2025 to start. Well, you have to understand that Project 2025 was such a large, massive amount of bullshit that any little thing that you do, you could probably point to it, even if it was in alignment with what the Democrats want, because it is so full of dribble. I have a news story that we're going to pick up, and I think it'll be really interesting after we finish Peter Pan and Wendy. Peter and Wendy Ballstorm. It's going to be really good. It's going to be interesting. I had a new idea for a new book. We'll see how it goes. It's dark. It's very dark. When Trump first announced the creation, yeah, that's right. When Trump first announced the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, which was called DOGE, it sounded too good to be true to those of us on the small government side of the aisle. We've been dreaming about a president who is serious about reducing the bloat in federal bureaucracy forever. And it's gotten so bad that most Republicans in office didn't even bother to pay lip service to the idea of shrinking the size of government. It began to seem real when Trump said that Elon Musk would be involved. Putting a politician in charge of taking a wrecking ball to government inefficiency would have been useless political theater. Musk is most definitely not interested in palling around with the Beltway politicians. As he posted, hysterical reactions like this is how you know that DOGE is going to work. DOGE is doing work that really matters. Sorry. This is one shot the American people have to defeat bureaucracy, rule of the bureaucrats, and restore democracy, rule of the people. We're never going to get another chance like this. Now, an unelected shadow government is conducting a hostile takeover of the federal government. DOGE is not a real government agency. DOGE has no authority to make spending decisions. DOGE has no authority to shut down programs or ignore federal law. DOGE cannot be, and it goes on and on. All of the people you want to see panic over what Musk and DOGE are doing are freaking out. And it's glorious. As I wrote in my classic book, Don't Let the Hippies Shower. I love that. The federal bureaucracy exists solely to bloat and perpetuate itself. Bureaucrats see themselves as public servants, not leeches who are devoted to bleeding American taxpayers dry. They're fighting back hard to save their crusty grift, their cushy grift. Well, I call it crusty, but he says cushy. DOGE's focus the last few days has really sent shockwaves through the formerly comfortable backsides of the bureaucracy. And this is from a Red State Bronchi or Bronchy. I'm not sure. As Red State reported, the Department of Government Efficacy first began cleaning house on Friday, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio then taking over role as acting director on Monday. Tens of billions of dollars in grants have been frozen as the Trump administration attempts to sort through the mountain of left-wing priorities inappropriately funded by USAID. Some of those are having transgender surgeries in Afghanistan. How many millions were they using for that? To say Democrats and their press allies were upset would be an understatement. Nothing seems to incest the left more than stopping the federal government from wasting taxpayer money overseas. Politicians who never said a word about lack of funding for Hurricane Helene's victims, they rushed to the podium to decry how cruel and dangerous it is to stop funding abortions in the Gaza Strip, among other insane wastes of money. Oh, yes. How many millions of dollars were they using for that? Money that could have gone to restoring services in Florida, North Carolina, Tennessee Valley. How much money of that could have been used? But oh no, it's more important that they delete children in another country. Insane wastes of monies is right. Un-American and criminal wastes of money could and would be apt descriptions as well. And then this is something that Victoria wrote yesterday. Catherine reports nearby that the USAID dollars support Iran's proxies, Hamas. If that's shocking, then you'll want to sit down for the next revelation on this. The U.S. State Department, USAID, pay millions of dollars per week to the Taliban. The bin Laden family leading the group, and the something I can't say that without coughing up coffee. Terror Network. Remember those guys? Didn't we wage a 20-year-long war to get rid of them? But yet we're funding our own demise. This is the agency that the swampiest swamp people are giving full-throated defense of. The people running it should probably be rounded up in a paddy wagon rather than merely getting pink slips. There is no justification for most of what USAID has been funding, and Democrats are acting as if Trump and Musk are smelting their holy grail to sell on eBay. Musk has been referring to what DOGE is doing as putting federal agency in the wood chipper, which is brilliant. Here's hoping that the wood chipper can run 24/7 for a long time without breaking down. While the Democrats, flying monkeys in the mainstream media, keep up their anti-Trump propaganda campaign, we will be here writing about what is actually happening. Our stalwart VIP subscribers give us the freedom to do that. You can too become a member of the PJ Media VIP party by subscribing and using the promo code CruiserMB or CRUISERMB, and you will receive a whopping 50% off on discount. And they're having a good time over there. Would love you to join them. So there you go. Good morning, Miss PJ. Good to see you. Good to see you. Interesting stuff. Yeah, it gets crazier and crazier. Now, as I said, those USAID dollars are going to pay the terrorists here who would be killing us, as written by Victoria Taft, the lady we just quoted here. And she breaks it down just a little bit more. It seems shocking that a government entity has the word aid in its acronym would ever be accused of doing dirty tricks and worse against friends and foes of the U.S., much less be defanged or shut down by Donald Trump. For the world's lefties, this defanging is unthinkable. But now we're finding out all kinds of skullduggery attributed to our color revolutionists at the U.S. Agency for International Development. Victoria Nuland and Samantha Power and their kindred through the years and color revolution coups have been their specialty. See Ukraine 2014. Need a race right in Africa? No problem. USAID is your first go-to riot planner. Want to force out democratically elected president? Call USAID for an information onslaught guaranteed to get rid of any elected populace. Need conservatives censored? Call USAID. Now, you may have not heard this one unless you follow the work of former CIA targeter and Defense Department operative Sarah Adams. See her interview on Sean Ryan's show podcast below. She tracked the Al Qaeda operation and the operators that Jake Sullivan and Hillary Clinton denied were part of the Benghazi attack and proved that it was a pre-planned Al Qaeda terrorist attack. And Adams has tracked back the money being sent by the United States government to our enemies, the people we went to war with to settle the score for 9/11. Catherine reports nearby that the USAID dollars supported Iran's proxy Hamas. If that's shocking, you'll want to sit down for that next revelation. We just read that part on the last portion of this. We left Afghanistan, left behind billions of dollars in equipment, the strategically important Bagram Air Force Base, and all the biometric data of our Afghani supporters who put their lives on the line to help our efforts to get the Taliban and the terrorists that were hiding from us. So, of course, when Joe Biden, Tony Blinken, and Jake Sullivan had us bug out in disgrace, they left the Taliban a ready-made kill list of our allies. And now, as Adams reckons, we pay the Taliban and the above parties between 40 and 87 million per week. And that's carried on a plane, complete with a bagman who doles out the payoffs. I asked Adams on X if USAID money was going to pay our enemies, and oh yes, you had better believe it. You had better believe it. Thank you so much, Knock It Offler, my daily grift out, the best badger, bar none. I appreciate you there, Knock It Offler. Go check out that. He's got some interesting stuff that he'll show you. He's got some interesting stuff he'll show you. There we go. Love it. That is for you right there. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Now, Adams replied, they send money to the Taliban, moves through many channels, but yes, USAID is one of them. Indeed, not only do we do that, but we also pay the cost of running the Taliban refugee office. That refugee money actually goes to Al Qaeda training camps. Well, isn't that special? Isn't that absolutely special? And even though we're paying them millions per month, Adams says Al Qaeda terrorists whose training camps we're paying for have gotten visas from Brazil, come up through Panama's Darien Gap, and entered our country for Hamas-like attacks in the U.S. Thanks, Joe Biden. I know Trump talked about negotiating with the Taliban to get out of Afghanistan when he was president 45, but considering the USAID employees were attempting to sidestep his foreign policy priorities and were fired for it, wouldn't it be a good idea to get a reckoning of how much we're paying these terrorists to kill us? And if you want to go check that out, that's the Sarah Adams episode 149, the Sean Ryan show. Go check it out, and you'll find a little bit more information than you actually knew. We're not going to watch that today because that's going to take way too much time to get through all of that. And I'm going to open that new tab. I think I have that. Yes, I do. Excellent. So we have this one here. The deep state reveals its face in Tulsi's hearings. Now, at some point, I'm going to get to those confirmation hearings just because I find them damned interesting. Just watching these people go bonkers over it. I never have enough time because I'm constantly streaming, as I've been pointed to multiple times for doing. It's like, do you ever take a break? Do you ever sleep? Yes, I do sleep. I sleep with both eyes closed. And I sleep very peacefully. Sometimes so peacefully, my wife gets disturbed and gets up and goes to the other room because I'm so loud. Before he had his head so violently exploded by a magic bullet in front of the world, the details of which the much vaunted intelligence community has continued to resist entering the public record to this day because the American people don't need to know who assassinates their leaders in this democracy. John F. Kennedy had the following words to say regarding transparency in government and whether that's an American value or not. Every word secrecy is repugnant. In a free and open society, we are, as people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths and secret proceedings. The role of Congress, per the Constitution, is to exercise oversight over the executive branches to check on the worst excesses. Now, watching the Gabbard confirmation hearing in its entirety is impossible for any honest person to come away with the conclusion that Congress is fulfilling that role. On the contrary, it's very obviously unapologetically devoted to protecting state secrecy above all else, even when it's abusing its power in contravention of the Constitution in the dark. Now, Tulsi's groveling to the state national security apparatus, repeating that Edward Snowden broke the law and he shouldn't have revealed that government was illegally spying on American citizens, wasn't sufficient for the State Intelligence Committee. It also wasn't sufficient groveling to make a 180-degree position shift and embrace the United States Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, Section 702, which conducts its business in secret and routinely is abused by the intelligence agencies to illegally spy on American citizens, no longer merely opinion held by libertarian extremists or whatever. This fact is federal case law as of January 2025. Now, a federal district court held that backdoor searches of databases full of Americans' private communications collected under Section 702 ordinarily required a warrant. Now, that landmark ruling comes to, in criminal case, United States versus Habershami, after more than a decade of litigation and over 4 years since the Second Circuit Court of Appeals found that backdoor searches constitute separate Fourth Amendment events and directed the district court to determine a warrant was required. Now, that has been officially decreed. In the intervening years, Congress has reauthorized Section 702 multiple times, each time ignoring overwhelming evidence that the FBI and the intelligence community abused their accesses to database of warrantless collecting messages and other data. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court, or FISC, which Congress assigned with the primary role of judicial oversight of Section 702, has repeatedly dismissed arguments that the backdoor searches violate the Fourth Amendment, giving the intelligence community endless do-overs despite its repeated transgressions of even lax safeguards of these searches. The decision sheds light on the government's liberal use of what is essential of finders keepers rule regarding our communication data. As legal authority, FISA Section 702 allows the intelligence community to collect massive amounts of communications data from overseas in the name of national security. But in cases where one side of that conversation is a person on U.S. soil, that data is still collected and retained in large databases searchable by federal law enforcement because the U.S. side of these communications is already collected and just sitting there. The government has claimed that law enforcement agencies do not need a warrant to sift through them. EFF argued over a decade that this is unconstitutional, and now a federal court agrees with us. Since Tulsi was required to warm up to Section 702 after a career of denouncing it, still she must be made to say that Edward Snowden is a traitor for telling American people what their own government has doing to them. The most unhinged of bipartisan lot was Michael Bennet, the lady who doth protesteth too much. And what I'm going to do right now is I need a little bit more coffee. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. Make sure that you've hit that like, that you subscribe. If you enjoy this content, you can always throw money at it because it helps pay for the coffee bill. I don't know. We could always think of something to come up with. Also, I do have a new album out. I've got some new stickers. I've got t-shirts, and I've got another few that I'm going to be working on. I've also got another 2, possibly 3 albums that should be coming out within the next year. Yeah, I'll say a year. Summertime's going to get really busy where I'm going to have to cut back on certain things. more than likely it'll be coffee, but my coffee's gotten cold and I need to get a little bit more. Whew, that's chilly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you with just a little morning ottership here. Just enjoy the coffee break. I'll be right back.
Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dawn night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screams, to inside jokes and endless memes. We talk and Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screams, and inside jokes and endless memes. In Shizzy, when it's chat we thrive, where Shizzy does dance and memes arrive. No quiet moments, no dull night. We laugh and funny sight. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. From shoutouts to those random screams, and inside jokes and endless memes. We type our hearts, we spam the love. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Our chat rooms like a lit up club. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream. Ooh, yeah, we come together night and day. We laugh, we play in our way. A family in a cyberspace, loving hearts in this virtual place. Oh, Shizzy's crowd, you're wild and true, with crazy gifts and jokes that flew. We're living pixels in the stream, a digital dream, a shared daydream.
Oh yeah. That is so much better. The coffee is warm as all get out now. You kept two babies. Okay, that's weird. All right, here we go. Let's hear what she has to say about this.
I would like to repeat my colleague's question to you. Thank you for being here. To answer these questions and for your service. Was Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
Senator, I will also repeat my answer. He broke the law.
You said earlier that you were offended by a question that my colleague from Kansas asked, which I think was his duty as somebody on this committee to fulfill his responsibility to advise and consent. We are not here to be a rubber stamp for the President of the United States. So let me ask you again, do you believe, as the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America?
Senator, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, I will work with you to make sure that there is not another Snowden like leak.
Media It's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or
They hate that answer,
or
don't they?
attacks on journalism in the United States. This is when you need to answer the questions of the people whose votes you're
She's
asking
answering.
for
She's asking
to be
answer the
confirmed
question.
as the chief intelligence officer of this nation. As my colleague said, this is not about you. It's about the people that serve the intelligence agencies of the United States. Is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America? That is not a hard question to answer when the stakes are this high.
Really, stakes.
Senator,
I like
as
stakes.
someone who has
Your
served
answer,
in
yes
uniform,
or no, is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
Oh, he's losing
as someone
his
who
mind.
has
I'll go on
worn
to
our
my
uniform
questions.
in
This
combat,
He
I
doesn't
understand how critical
answering this.
our national security
Apparently
is.
you don't. Apparently you don't. Let me.
Apparently she does. Apparently he doesn't understand the answer that she's given him. Well, putting aside the fact that Edward Snowden, and they think that he's a hero, Ben Barty thinks that he's a hero who sacrificed his career and, for all he knew at the time, his life, revealing illegal, unconstitutional abuses by intelligence agencies collecting Americans' private data in violation of the Fourth Amendment. The classification system itself is an absurdity. And by some estimates, there are as many as 50 million documents that are classified each year. Another major factor is overclassification, which includes classifying documents that should have never been classified and stamping top secret on reports that warrant only a confidential tag. In addition, the number of officials and agencies that have the power to classify materials is also huge. It's not limited to the president's office and obvious agencies like defense, state, CIA, but extends to every federal agency and far down their organization charts. But the biggest problem is that once documents are classified, they almost never lose their classification label. There's an executive order that supposedly automatically declassifies documents after 25 years, but it has exceptions. And the order alone and the passage of time do not remove the classification stamp or make the records publicly available. Top secret, like national security, is a euphemism that cynical creeps like the Intelligence Committee members and their clients in the intelligence community use to mean anything that might embarrass us and expose our criminality. Yeah, he exposed an illegal, unconstitutional domestic spying program. Exactly. But he also did put people's lives at risk in the process of doing that. So you can look at it both ways, but I have to agree with you. Hey, MG, good to see you, brother. And whether he's a traitor is a legal determination to be made in a court of law and not a politicized Senate hearing. Now, that's the point right there. That is the absolute point. And MG's got it right. MG's got that so right. Like so many other things that he gets right. MG, how are you doing this morning? I'm glad to see that you're doing well, brother. I'm glad to see that you're doing very well. I hope you're having a wonderful day, that you haven't, gone out and, run any small cars over in your 18-wheeler. That's always a good thing. Been riding down the right lane. Now, see, I wonder whenever MG is making those long trips to court in the morning, if he thinks there's a free right lane over there and just uses it. I don't think he does. I think that's only good in video games. Trump works to end California's man-made drought. That's an interesting one. How could Trump work to end a man-made drought? California Democrats want fire victims to sue oil and gas companies. It's true. President Donald Trump wants them to have access to more water. After surveying the wildfire damage in Los Angeles, Trump issued an executive order to ensure adequate water resources in Southern California. He cited the problems with fire hydrants running dry, which happened, and empty reservoirs, which happened. He directed the Bureau of Reclamation to deliver more water, produce more additional hydropower to high-need communities. Now, that may seem impossible. California has been battling drought for years. In 2022, Scientific America declared the Southwest mega drought was the driest 22-year period in the last 1,200 years. The U.S. Drought Monitor says two-thirds of California water is either abnormally dry or experiencing a drought. The Colorado River is running low. Just look at Lake Mead's bathtub ring. Yeah. It's obvious that California doesn't have enough water because there simply isn't enough water available. Telling the federal government to increase water deliveries is just wishful thinking by Trump. Even California isn't dumb enough to dump trillions of gallons of fresh water into the ocean, right? Nope. Several decades ago, the federal government in California built pumps to send water from Northern California to Southern California. That was smart. Southern California needed more water to support its farmland and growing population. But diverting the water changed conditions in the Sacramento San Joaquin Valley. That shouldn't be a surprise. Changes due to nature are natural. Beavers dam up rivers without running an environmental impact assessment. Earthquakes don't seek bureaucratic permission before literally shifting the Earth's surface. Wildfires don't put themselves out over concerns that they're causing global warming. Every act of civilization changes the way things once were. Without these interventions, some part of nature would kill you. That's an easy reality to forget because our forefathers spent generations successfully subduing much of that natural world. It takes extra water to support farmland and tens of millions of people living in a desert region. Reducing the flow of fresh water has reportedly been tough on the Delta smelt, a small fish that lives in the region. It's a relatively weak swimmer and depends on the mixing of salt water and fresh water. In 2009, California declared the fish endangered under California Endangered Species Act. To help the fish, California scaled back how much water it sent to Southern California. Since 2008, 1.4 trillion gallons of water has been flushed into the San Francisco Bay to protect the Delta smelt, an endangered species of fish from water pumps. The San Diego Union Tribune wrote in 2015, further environmental uses of water accounted for more than 50% of the state's flows. That waste has continued. In January of 2023, massive storms hit the state. They dumped trillions of gallons of water, but 94% of it drained into the ocean. Part of the problem was that California didn't have the infrastructure to capture more of it, but officials also turned down those pumps to protect the Delta smelt. Rather than changing course, California Democrats wanted to deflect the blame. Democrat Senator Scott Wiener proposed a bill that would allow fire victims and insurance companies to sue fossil fuel companies for the damages. From last year's floods to the fires in Los Angeles, we know that fossil fuel industry bears ultimate responsibility for fueling these disasters, Wiener wrote on his X. It'd be more effective to allow fire victims to sue the politicians who sent that water to the ocean and mismanaged California's forests. Barack Obama couldn't heal the planet, but if Trump can navigate the inevitable legal hurdles, he could get Californians more water. Isn't that amazing? How stupid can you be? California, here, hold my beer. That is the truth. That is such the truth. They cannot help themselves. As we get down to more of what Trump has been doing in the past 2 weeks that he's been in office, we run into this right here. Can Trump win trade wars before they start? Do you think he can? Donald Trump knows exactly what he's doing with the tariffs. Everyone else is baffled. Why did the president announce heavy taxes on imports from Canada as well as Mexico and China? Well, America has an obvious interest in economic decoupling from China, a great power rival. And by first imposing them and then suspending tariffs on Mexican imports, Trump was able to bring Mexico's government to the negotiating table on his terms. And by first imposing, then suspending tariffs on Mexican imports, Trump was able to bring that to the table. It's won immediate results in the fight against illegal immigration and trafficking of fentanyl and other drugs into our country. President Claudia Sheinbaum is now sending 10,000 troops to secure Mexico's side of the border. She has 1 month to get the job done and strike a bigger long-term deal with the United States, or tariffs snap back in March. Then there are those Yukon cartels and the Canadian Communist Party. And wait, what trouble could America possibly have with Canada that justifies a 25% tariff on goods they sell us? Like Mexico, Canada has been given a 30-day reprieve to work things out. Trump needles Prime Minister Justin Trudeau about turning Canada into our 51st state. It's hard to imagine tariffs hard enough to accomplish what a couple of invasions couldn't achieve over the last 200 years, though. America tried to take Canada by force in the Revolutionary War of 1812. Both times hoping Canadians would spontaneously turn against their government, demand the rights and liberties of American citizens. A core component of Canada's national identity, however, comes from the pro-British Tories who fled the American colonies rather than join our revolution. Even Canadian conservatives, including the man with the best hope of beating the Liberal Party at the next election, Pierre Poilievre, don't want to become Americans. They're politically outraged by the tariff threat. They're in political danger if Canadians rally to the Liberal government as defender of their sovereignty and national honor. But Trump knows all of this. He's using tariffs to set expectations with our northern neighbor, just as he has with China and Mexico. Sometimes the best thing a person or a nation can do for a friend is just get a little tough love on them. Canada has long been unserious about meeting its security obligations to its own people and to NATO allies alike. NATO members are supposed to contribute at least 2% of their GDP to defense. I thought it was 3, but that might be right. Canada spent a meager 1.37 last year, with Trudeau promising his country would reach the 2% threshold by 2032. Well, after he's long retired from government and it doesn't matter anymore. Then that's not the pledge of a leader who feels any urgency about providing for his nation's security, let alone helping friends when there is a war near their borders. Until now, Canadian prime ministers have been content to let America foot the security bill, which is what leads Trump to ask why we should pay for it if the land isn't ours. It's tough treatment of Trudeau sends a message to Europe, where NATO states are beginning to meet their 2% minimum contributions, but just barely. Germany, for example, spent 1.3% on defense in 2023 and only brought that up to a little more than 2% last year, despite NATO facing its greatest challenge since the end of the Cold War with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In the 21st century, America can't afford to be ripped off by friends any more than it can afford to be unwary about Chinese power or Mexican disorder. Trump is using peaceful, if painful, methods to change the behavior of friend and foe alike. To be sure, he thinks tariff is the most beautiful word in the English language. Trump is unabashedly a tariff man. But he's a deal maker first and foremost, and tariffs can be avoided if the other side is willing to reach a deal that better serves America's interests. After all, trade with America is the best interest of everyone else, from China to Mexico to Canada. We're providing something not yet getting enough in return. Trump means to change that. Tariffs are a powerful tool to doing so. The president's strategy can even help bring jobs, supply chains back to America without the tariffs even having to go into effect. Businesses terrified by the prospect of tariffs have an incentive to get ahead of them by moving production back to America, devoting greater attention to the home market. And American companies dependent on foreign imports have every reason to start breaking free of their dependence right now by finding substitute components that won't be subject to tariffs. Trump knows how to win trade wars before the first shot, so to speak, is ever fired. So as you might be getting upset about the tariffs, David Nelson, so that they can claim global warming and climate change are to blame for water shortages instead of their crappy policies. Very true. That's so right, MG. Lefty, hey, progressive southpaw. How's it going, Lefty? Yo, what's up, Lefty? Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Central California used to be Lake Cochran. It was about the size of Lake Michigan, but they keep draining it to make it farmland. That's what happens. That's what happens. Trying to take that rich silt and soil and turn it into farmland. I mean, you can look at Georgia, for example. Georgia wanted to increase the water flow, so they dammed up a portion of the Chattahoochee. Okay. And whenever they dammed up that portion of the Chattahoochee, they created a little thing called Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is one of the nastiest places you've ever been to. Why? Because they didn't clear anything out underneath. There's still trees underwater. There's still houses in the in what used to be lush mountain areas, or just hilly, pretty good hilly areas. No, there's still old cars down there at the bottom of Lake Lanier, and houses and furniture and all that kind of stuff. They actually flooded Lake Lanier. Look it up, Lake Lanier, Georgia. It's in around Gainesville. It surrounds that whole area. They turned it into right down yonder at the Chattahoochee. Yeah. So you look at the Chattahoochee River. The Chattahoochee River flows into Lake Lanier. It's dammed up on the other side. They use that dam to power. They use that for power. They also control the flow of water that comes out. I've seen Lake Lanier get pretty low. When it gets low enough, you can see treetops. It can be really dangerous. Yeah, I worked at Lake Lanier for quite some time at a marina out there. Yeah, there was a well-known TV news reporter that lived out on a houseboat on Lake Lanier. He was a helicopter reporter, and I think he retired. Was he still? I can't remember if he was still working there or when he actually retired. But his girlfriend at the time got drunk, fell overboard, and drowned. It was pretty big tragedy. They searched for her body for quite some time. I think it was a few days, and then found her washed up on the other side of the little bay where his houseboat was. God, I can't remember his name. Really, really nice guy. Drank a lot, way too much for my taste. And that's what happens. You just drink a little too much, and bye-bye. Yeah, sad to hear. Well, but yeah, so there's been quite a few divers, and they go down, and it's pretty dark and murky. There's a lot of silt on the bottom of Lake Lanier, but you get down there, they said, there's houses down there, entire cars and structures are still there. And because it's nothing's really getting to it, it remains like an animated state. It's going to be interesting if they ever do drain Lake Lanier or that dam fails in Beaufort. I think it's the Beaufort Dam. Yeah, I think the Beaufort Dam flows out of that. There may be other ones, but I know the Beaufort Dam is one of the bigger ones there. But it is also good to know that people don't listen. People don't listen. Like Letitia James. Letitia James, she orders New York hospitals to complete, chopping up children. When Democrats are sending a message, election or no election, executive orders or no executive orders, reality or fantasy, this is our world. You might be welcome to live in it so long as you toe the line. Make no mistake. They have lost the White House, the House, the Senate, and elected David Hogg as a DNC vice chair, but they are digging in or remaining intransigent while they plot to return to power. And they aren't content to merely lose their minds over confirmations hearings or the fact that the party is over at USAID. The AP reported that on Monday, New York Attorney General Letitia James sent a stern warning to the state's hospitals. The warning came in a letter to the hospitals that despite Trump's executive order to halt funding for the transitioning treatments of minors, hospitals that did not continue what the left refers to as gender affirming care would be in violation of New York's anti-discrimination laws. James commented, regardless of the availability of federal funding, we write to further remind you of your obligations to comply with New York state laws. The outlet noted that hospitals in Colorado, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. had hit pause button on the procedures while they're evaluating the order. In its coverage, Newsweek gave cursory nod to contents of Trump's order, but true to form, cited experts who backed up the usual progressive talking points. Lead author of the study on puberty blocker usage, Landon Hughes, told the AP, F the AP. They've gotten it wrong so many times. It's horrible. We're not seeing inappropriate use of this sort of care, and it's certainly not happening at the rate which people often think it is. So you're saying that chopping off children is wonderful. That's how Smith Lake would be in Alabama. They just built a dam and filled it in the valleys with water several hundred feet deep in some places. Yeah. So Donald Trump, in his executive order, it's the policy of the United States that it will not fund, sponsor, promote, assist, or support the so-called transition of a child from one sex to another, and it will rigorously enforce all laws that prohibit or limit these destructive and life-altering procedures. Harper Selton, an attorney at the American Civil Liberties Union LGBTQI and HIV Project, told the Associated Press it's very clear that this order, in combination with other orders and that we've seen over the past week, are meant to not protect anyone in this country, but rather to single-mindedly drive out the transgender people of all ages from all walks of civic life. So mutilating children is driving people out. I would say mutilating children is pretty detrimental to well, this is to be expected. Last week, Newsweek reporter Joshua Rhett Miller wrote a softball piece on the story of Stephen Joe Hayes, a man who contends he is a woman who regrets the crimes he committed against a Connecticut family almost 18 years ago. Nearly 18 years after killing Jennifer Hawk Petite and her two young daughters during a home invasion in Connecticut, the murderer, formerly known as Stephen Joseph Hayes, says she's now at peace, though she's still haunted by the killings she regrets. Miller calls Hayes' crimes horrific, but not the Bee offers readers a more detailed description of Hayes' degeneracy. In 2007, Hayes broke into the home of the Petite family, I believe, in Cheshire, Connecticut. He beat the father, William Petite, with a baseball bat, tied him in the basement. Then he raped and strangled Petite's wife, Jennifer. He wasn't done. Then he went after Petite's 11-year-old daughter, Michaela, tied Michaela and her sister Haley to their beds, and set their rooms on fire. Both daughters died in a slow, horrific death from smoke inhalation. Hayes asserts that his rampage was a result of lack of gender-affirming care. Now he calls himself a woman. He's apparently finding some closure. Well, thank God for that, as long as he's happy, right? Just so we're clear, Hayes found contentment. A normal person voices the slightest concern over chopping up little children, and they face death threats and accusations of genocide. Had Hayes gotten the psychiatric care and intervention he needed, this could have been avoided. To transwash is an insult to the Petite family and, frankly, the rest of the world. Every legitimately trans person should be outraged over this. Side note, if you click on Miller's X post above, you will see that he was ratioed pretty much beyond the Culper belt. Yeah. That brings us back to Letitia James. The damage done by having children undergo surgeries, chemical castration, puberty blockers, and hormone psychiatric therapy is in the pursuit of trans agenda, and societal celebrity is documented on these and many other pages. James' decision may have been born out of her pathological hatred for Trump, but is bolstered by the left's insatiable desire for power and to remake society in its own twisted image. The fact that James is willing to stand hip deep in the blood, bodies, and psyches of children to make her point, coupled with the near canonization of a maniac for the cause of transgenderism, shows you just exactly how far these progressives will go. Sorry. Interesting day. Interesting day. What time we got? Oh, it's that time. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight there will be a stream. Tune in, 10 o'clock. It's going to be fun. We try to make it fun. Of course, you know, I've got another one of those guys that's peeing up my leg and wanting some sort of relevancy that they're never going to receive. If I feel bad for them, I really do. They're fighting for relevancy right now, and they're just losing on all aspects of it. I don't have to mention them because you already know who they are. You've seen it already. They want to yell and scream and say, "Oh, Shizzy doesn't know what he's talking about." I never claim that I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm usually just making shit up as I go along. That's how I operate. If you take me for any sort of legal or medical advice, I recommend don't. I don't give it. I may have my own opinions. Most of the time, they're going to be wrong. And most of the time, I still don't care. I really don't. I have fun doing this. This is all about fun. YouTube needs to be fun again. So these people that think that I've got my ideas wrong, okay. We'll see how that all plays out. Do you think I'm going to give you a platform to give you any sort of argument or discussion? No, because I really don't care. I'll shut you down the same way that I shut down my wife and say, yeah, I don't care. In the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? No, it doesn't really matter. But I just have too much damn fun doing this. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you hit that like and subscribe. Make sure that you've checked out the new album. Hell, you can even go buy something. There is a code in there. All you got to do is type in nuts or what is I'm trying to remember what those codes are. Let me see. Because there's two different ones. There's one that's a 6%, another one that's a 10%. They'll both be ending at the end of the month. So I don't know if it shows up for you guys on the store, but there should be a link up there that you could click on if you're looking to get any of that wonderful swag. Because it's there. I'll tell you. Now, you don't have to. It's just if you want to. If you want to get Shizzy's nutsack, it's there. It is there on that page. If you want to get a new one, it's there also. There's, yeah. And with that, everybody, I'll see you this evening.
Bless your heart. I thought I was the only mentally challenged one here.
Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Early morning, rise and shine. Coffee's brewing, feeling fine. News is out and on the air. Shizzy Whiz nuts wild, but we don't care. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Get it, yeah, oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java with a smile. Pants are off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Hit it, yeah. Oh yeah. Headlines spinning in the breeze. Stupid jokes, he's such a tease. Sip the Java, wear a smile. Banter off, but stay a while. Morning Whiz and Coffee. Talk the news, he's a tease. Laugh it off, we're on the go. Shizzy Whiz, let's start the show. Let's go. Hit it, yeah. Oh yeah. Serious is overrated. Every day we're caffeinated. Talk the town, but in a jest. Morning Whiz is always best. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop. Clock is ticking, time to run. Morning show's a load of fun. Grab your mug, don't spill a drop. Laugh your ass off till you pop.
Oh my god, Shizzy breaks
No
Larry.
way.
Shizzy broke Larry.
Oh yeah.
And send